My name is Godwin Asidewa. Let's take a look at the headlines. Coming up, Attorney General drops charges against some high-profile individuals, including current Finance Minister Dr. Ato Forson and former Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Johnson Esiema. West Africa Examinations Council, WAEC, incurs the wrath of parents over its decision to withhold some WASSCE results. We'll tell you about it. In the bulletin also, Agric Minister Eric Opoku says government will terminate Pugu Dam contract for assessment. Government completes 93% of the country debt restructuring marking a significant step towards economic recovery. We are live on DSTV, channel 279, also on Facebook at TV3 Ghana, where the bulletin is streaming now. You can join us with your thoughts and your comments as well. The Attorney General has served notice to discontinue an appeal against the acquittal of Dr. Ato Forson and businessman Richard Jakpa for their roles in an ambulance purchase deal at the Supreme Court. The two were facing charges of causing financial loss to the states in the sum of 2.37 million euros. My colleague Lord Eduasare has been looking into the story.
Dr. Ato Forson, then a former deputy minister, and Richard Jakpa, a private businessman, were standing trial over alleged financial loss to the state in the controversial 2.37 million euros ambulance procurement deal. The case, initiated by the Attorney General's office, accused the two of willfully causing financial loss to the state through the importation of 30 defective ambulances for the National Ambulance Service. The prosecution argued that Ato Forson had authorized the letters of credit for the procurement without ensuring proper quality and due diligence. However, the defense maintained that Ato Forson's actions were in line with his official duties and that he bore no criminal liability for the deal. In March 2023, the High Court ordered Dr. Ato Forson and Richard Jakpa to open the defense after the Attorney General's office established a prima facie against them. But the lawyers for the MP for Ejumako Enyanisiem filed an appeal at the Court of Appeal, arguing that the prosecution had not provided sufficient evidence and requested a ruling on a submission of no case. Arguing that the prosecution had not provided sufficient evidence and requesting a ruling on a submission of no case. On July 30, 2024, a three-member panel of justices at the Court of Appeal, in a majority decision, acquitted and discharged the accused after finding that the trial judge had erred in ruling that Dr. Forson should open his defense, as substantive evidence had not been established by the prosecution. The Attorney General under the Akufo-Addo government, Godfrey Adame, subsequently filed an appeal at the Supreme Court against the decision of the Court of Appeal. In a surprising turn, however, the Attorney General under the Mahama-led government, Dr. Dominic Aine, on January 24 filed a notice of abandonment of the appeal, confirming that the state no longer intends to pursue the case. This marks the second case the Attorney General has discontinued since taking office, after earlier dropping charges against former Kokobot CEO Dr. Stephen Kwabna Opuni and businessman Seidu Agungu earlier this week. Lori Dwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
The West Africa Gas Pipeline Company Limited has begun preparations to shut down from next Wednesday, which is February 5, for its planned 4-week maintenance exercise. The Western Area Head of Operations and Maintenance, Engineer Benoni Wusuaye, explained that the 5-yearly maintenance is a regulatory requirement.
Preparations are taking place for the WAPCO, or the West Africa Gas Pipeline, to start its pigging. Pigging basically means the cleaning and inspection of the gas pipelines from Nigeria through Cotonou and Lomé to Takoradi, and thus basically is used to check for any defects in the pipelines. You know, this is done every 5 years. You will recall that just before this incumbent government took over, there were fears of power shortages because the incumbent government had not prepared adequately for the next pigging of the pipelines. what usually happens is there are some power plants that are able to use liquid fuel as well. So when this happens, when the pipelines are shut off to ensure that no gas pass through it, these stations or these plants usually rely on the liquid fuel, but there wasn't any preparation during that time. So they were called upon to give them a respite period. They believe that by now everything is set. So today the media here in Takoradi were taking round the Abaze station of Wako and shown what actually is going to take place. Engineer Benoni Owusaye is the director in charge of operations and maintenance.
We're going to carry out a pigging operation from 5th, but we will launch our first pig on the 7th of February from Nigeria. In all, we have about 6 pigs to launch from Nigeria. Once you launch a pig in Nigeria, you receive it in Takoradi. You can't receive it in Lome, you can't receive it in Cotonou or Tema because of the pipe size. So it's a 20-inch line, 569 kilometers. It gets to Takoradi, then the pig is retrieved. Then another pig is launched. It takes about 4 to 5 days. We can optimize it by increasing the speed of that pig. That is, you bring in more volume. The reason why we have to do it every 5 yearly is by regulatory and also by the standard, international standard. Okay, you have a line that is somewhere that you don't even know the condition of it. You cannot continue operating it without really assessing its integrity.
He further explains what exactly will be taking place during the pigging, and this will take about 28 days to complete.
We also replaced our subsea valves. We have some defects of, especially in Tema. So we will use that shutdown window to do that. So during that operation, we'll still have vessel and divers also going down there to get that job done. And we will still be doing onshore activities. Okay, some welding activities here and there in Tema, in Togo, that's Lome, in Cotonou. We'll also be pigging to Cotonou lateral too as well, in addition to what. So there are a lot of activities.
So all things being equal, hopefully with government having prepared for this pigging, Ghana will not experience any power outages during this period. Erama Smith, TV3 News, Abaze.
The Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, has said government intends to terminate the contract awarded for construction of the Pugu Dam. In 2019, the contract of $993 million was awarded for the construction of the Pugu Multipurpose Dam in the Talensi district of the Upper East region. The project was mainly to absorb water from the Bagri Dam spillage to address the perennial flooding up north and boost irrigation. The project was expected to have a hydro-solar hybrid system with 60 megawatts of hydropower and 50 megawatts of solar power. Speaking on government's plan for the project, the Agric Minister, Eric Opoku, said, "We will terminate the Pugu contract, look for a contractor, look for funding, and then immediately ensure execution of the contract." When the minister's attention was drawn to a perennial judgment debt if the contract is cancelled, he assured due diligence will be done in the cancellation process. We head to the Ashanti region now, where a decision by officials of West Africa Examination Council, WAEC, to compel students whose WASSCE results have been withheld to write a report was fiercely resisted by their parents, creating a chaotic scene at the Kumasi office of the council. Correspondent Ibrahim Abubakar was at the Kumasi office and has come through with the following report.
In the Ashanti region, results of over 2,000 students who wrote their WASSCE in 2024 have been withheld over suspicion of examination malpractice. All 1,900 students of Tia Media Senior School in Kumasi have their mathematics results pending. Officials indicated that even though the students were not directly caught engaging in malpractice during the exams, the external markers identify a particular pattern of answering the question, which they concluded as a form of irregularity. All the students, including others from different schools who were openly caught engaged in examination malpractice, and their parents were asked to report to the Kumasi office of WAEC on Wednesday, January 29. Upon reporting to the center, the affected students were asked to move to a separate room to individually write a report and be vetted. This directive didn't sit down well with many parents who questioned why WAEC failed to state that in the invitation letter.
Most of these kids are minors. And how can you tell me that, and without my guidance or maybe a legal counsel present, my ward should implicate himself in whatever way we don't know. He could implicate someone who might be innocent. We don't know this. But you say they should write a report. Then you will base on that to determine the outcome of their exam results. Why you didn't even catch them in the exam or doing any more practice?
We were ambushed and we needed clarification. We told them, clear us, what exactly do you want from us or from our wards? That's where we are.
You call a parent far from Yendi side, only to come of no results. Is that right? The reports will not give you what they want, because definitely the children will not tell you that the truth.
But the deputy registrar in charge of certificate at WAEC, NSA Japan, entreated parents to remain calm.
We are not saying that we have released the results midstream. No. It's an exercise that we are doing, and for that matter, the exercise must go on, and then when we have finished everything, then the results will come out. A candidate who did not involve himself in any malpractice will come out clean, and that person will get his or her results. But if you are a culprit of whatever mass cheating that went on, you'll be punished as such by the law.
WAEC denied claims of deliberate targets on some schools.
WAEC has no school in mind that this school we want to victimize them, this school we want to know what we gain in doing that. All that is happening is that we have people who are working for us, and for that matter, those people who are working for us report. You cannot sit on that report, you have to investigate. That's why we are investigating.
So the WAEC official says the vetting exercise is part of investigation process and also an opportunity to give the students a fair hearing. But some of the parents still insist they will not allow their children to write the report. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen has announced that Ghana has made substantial headway in its debt restructuring program, paving way for an ambitious economic reform agenda. In a press briefing, the minister revealed that the Memorandum of Understanding with the Official Creditor Committee has been signed by all participating creditor countries.
According to Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, 93% of Ghana's debt restructuring has been completed, leaving 7% involving 60 international banks still to be engaged. He highlighted that an outstanding $2.7 billion representing 3% of Ghana's total debt is still under negotiation.
On the 17th of January 2025, I, in my capacity as Minister of Finance designate, met with Ghana's advisors and the technical team of the Ministry of Finance to discuss the state of affairs, create a timeline, and outline action plan for implementation. Today marks a significant milestone from the team, and we are pleased to inform all Ghanaians that the Memorandum of Understanding, reached with the Official Creditors Committee last June, has now been fully signed by all 25 participating creditors country.
The minister thanked all members of the Official Creditor Committee, particularly the committee's co-chairs, China and France, for their unwavering commitment to assisting Ghana in resolving its debt issues.
We take this opportunity to appreciate the efforts and support so far by the external commercial creditors and urge them to support us to complete this process as soon as possible. With this progress on the debt restructuring, we will now focus our economic recovery through the implementation of an ambitious reform agenda, fostering strong and inclusive growth for all Ghanaians.
In Parliament, the House has approved 7 additional ministerial nominees for President John Dramani Mahama. My colleague Judith Brown has more in this report. We will definitely be in Parliament to bring you some of the ministers who are going to be vetted today as well. But we go back to the story again, where vetting of President John Dramani Mahama's appointees continue today.
Has unanimously approved 7 ministerial nominees on the floor of the House. These nominees are the Honorable Emmanuel Kweja-Jekum, who is Minister of State for Special Initiatives, also Honorable Linda Obenewa Akwele-Oklu, who is also the Minister for Greater Accra Region, Mr. Kenneth Gilbert Ejay as Minister for Works and Housing, as well as Water Resources, Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah as Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Tia Ibrahim as Minister for the Northeast Region, Dr. Frank Amwakohene as Minister for the Ashanti Region, and Mr. Akamugri Atanga Donatus as Minister for the Upper East Region. Well, initially, Minority Leader Penyo Markin raised issues about the Minister-designate for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah, based on earlier statements he made on the floor against the then President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo after his State of the Nation address.
We have come to the end of the road for what has been undoubtedly the West government under the Fourth Republic. Round Speaker, this abysmal record was confirmed on December 7th when the people of Ghana returned the most overwhelming and emphatic vote of rejection of any government ever witnessed under the Fourth Republic.
The issue resurfaced during the vetting of the minister-designate, who was asked to apologize. He, however, did not agree.
As Deputy Majority Leader, I had a duty that day. And I believed, and that's what I thought, I believe those were words that resonated with the people of Ghana.
It was based on this that the minority was not satisfied with the vetting process, which meant that his approval would have been subjected to a secret ballot.
All of us here know that beyond this chamber, we have the party that takes decisions. I do not want to be seen as having disobeyed party orders. For the avoidance of doubt, Honorable Emmanuel Ama Kofi-Boah made certain comments against His Excellency President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo when we had the SONA. And the understanding was that indeed it was very, very much in a bad taste.
After debate on the floor, however, the minority finally agreed on his approval based on what they say was a withdrawal of Mr. Amabua's earlier statement.
Having apologized, having retracted, we can't stretch the matter. We're no more going to subject him to a ballot, a secret ballot voting. We have therefore withdrawn.
For now, we await the next batch of ministerial nominees to be vetted and approved. Judith Brown, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Vetting of President John Mahama's appointees continues today after taking a break to scrutinize allegations of bribery against the Appointments Committee of Parliament made by Oliver Baka Vomawo. Appearing before the committee today are Sam George, who is supposed to be the Minister-designate for Communications, Digital Technologies and Innovation, Samuel Oku-Jeto Ablakwa, Minister-designate for Foreign Affairs, Rashid Pelpo, Minister-designate for Labour, Jobs and Employment. Others expected are Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, Minister-designate for Environment, Science and Technology, Mrs. Charity Gardner, Minister-designate for the Ahafo region, amongst others. The Director of Training at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, is urging political parties to wait for the presiding officer for Ablekuma North to officially declare the winner of the parliamentary election. So far, results from 3 outstanding polling stations remain unverified, as the Electoral Commission has verified results from 273 out of 281 polling stations.
The return officer who declares results. So the last time we were left with about 3, and the issues were that one of them, the presiding officer, says he has the results. He sent it to the return officer, but he's not ready to come to the collation center because of the fear for his life, because he was saying he was attacked. It's a female, so he has sent the results to us, validating the results, but he's not ready to come to certify it in front of the coalition team. So it's up to the return officer to take a decision on that. Then the second one was that the gentleman came, he said that he validates the results for the candidates. He doesn't validate the rejected ballot. Me personally, we are interested in the result for the candidates. So if he's validating the results for the candidates, that he said that they were correct, I think that's a good number. Still is the decision of the return officer who should do it. Then the third one was saying that he can neither validate nor reject. So that one to maybe either he has to come again to explain his stand, or the commission will have to take a decision on that. By all means, we'll go back to the coalition center again for the return officer to take decisions on the security people were supposed to provide protection. So if the security is ready to provide protection, the commission also thinks that we are good to go then to that.
Thank you very much.
President John Dramani Mahama has pledged to expand access to reliable, affordable and sustainable electricity across the continent. The president joined 30 other African heads of states at the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit in Tanzania. Speaking to the media shortly after arriving from Tanzania together with the president's acting government spokesperson Felix Kwachiofosu, says the NDC administration is focused on alleviating the energy plight of many Ghanaians in rural communities.
The objective of the summit was to discuss ways of extending access to energy to underserved areas within Africa. And so the heads of states met following an earlier meeting by ministers of energy of various African countries. Each head of state took his turn, I beg your pardon, to elaborate briefly on what the commitments to this objective were and what they had done in order to ensure its realization. President Mahama recounted Ghana's experiences and shared the strategies that he in particular adopted to get us out of the perennial energy problems that we've had, and took the opportunity to advise against some missteps or mistakes that have been made in the past. He then reiterated Ghana's commitment to ensuring that many more of our citizens get access to electricity. At the moment, Ghana has electricity access of about 83%, which is one of the highest on the African continent. There were countries at the summit who disclosed that they had between anything from 12 to 19% access to electricity. So it shows that Ghana is streets ahead of many of its contemporaries, but more needs to be done to ensure that many more of our citizens have access to electricity, and that the benefits of having this access to power are accrued for rapid socio-economic development. So this, in a nutshell, is what transpired.
Misinformation and disinformation continue to pose significant challenges to Ghana's electoral process, particularly during the 2024 elections, where false claims flooded social media platforms. The Director of Training at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, has called for stricter penalties for those who spread misleading information.
Misinformation and disinformation during elections are growing concerns, and Ghana's 2024 elections were no exception. The Ghana Fact-Checking Coalition released a report detailing how false information spread and the steps needed to address it in future elections. The Director of Training at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, emphasized the urgent need for stakeholders to collaborate in combating disinformation.
A lot of revelations have come, and I wish that they will give it wide circulation so that people will appreciate some of the things that happened and some of the issues that came on board and what the fact checkers also identify and bring it to God. If people are doing that and they can gain financially from it, those people should be punished. So that if you know that if you get money, you'll be punished to pay back whatever it is, people will stop doing that. Because you end up destroying people's reputation and it could be for life. There have been people who have committed suicide because of misinformation. So people who intentionally engage in them to benefit should be punished.
The report by the Ghana Fact-Checking Coalition highlights both successes and challenges in curbing disinformation. Fact-checking organizations are urging traditional media to work closely with them to ensure the public receives accurate information. As Ghana looks ahead, experts stress that fighting misinformation requires a collective effort from media houses, technology companies, and the government to ensure free and fair elections in the future.
Social activist Oliver Baka has apologized to members of the Appointments Committee of Parliament over social media posts suggesting some individuals were paying bribes to secure ministerial approvals. Through his lead counsel, Baka explained that his comments were not directed at the Parliament's Appointments Committee. George Quaining has more.
Oliver Baka honored the invitation of the Appointments Committee with heavy legal representation, including Nana Atudazi and Victor Kojoga Adawudu. The social activist admitted to authoring just one of the two posts in question. It was a tough session for the chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, as the committee struggled to get the witness to answer questions directly rather than through his legal representation.
I want him to respond to the issues. No, I want him to answer my questions.
No, he has a counsel. No.
He should answer my questions.
Honorable
members, let's have some order. Once the witness is here with a lawyer of his own choice, why would the Constitution guarantee that right? Which right I must preside over its violation? I'm unable.
His legal team further explained that the post was intended only to expose certain misconducts.
In which circumstances I would think that a person who comes forward to say that the Honorable Appointments Committee, their honorable job is being affected by some other person, third parties, it should be commended. Under the Whistleblowers Act, he probably will need some compensation for services rendered.
For the minority, the post has caused significant damage to the reputation of its members.
You and I know that in this country, Ghana, as particularly Accra here, people hear things every minute. Should we begin to be typing things that we hear? I've heard Kojo Mensah has done A, Adjuata has done B, Amamansa is this. So we say that we are blowing a whistle. Then there will be chaos in the country.
MP for South Day, Roxanne Nelson Dapiamokpo, concluded that the committee lacked the merit to handle the case and should instead refer it to the Privileges Committee. After the back and forth, the witness, Oliver Baka issued an apology.
I am saying here clearly that my post was not intended to disparage members of the committee, and I have not intended to say that members of this committee have received or demanded bribes from various individuals. At no point was my statement intended to communicate same, and for those reasons, I apologize.
The committee implored Oliver Baka to issue a disclaimer for the post he deemed fake and also to withdraw the post he authored on January 24. George Quaining, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
There's more if you log on to www.3news.com. My name is Godwin Asidaba. New Day continues shortly. Stay with us. Bye.
In a world where every moment counts, one team stands ready.